groovy.
And let the show begin! Yoo-hoo! And thanks for tuning in to another cult horror movie review. Only a couple years after playing the abominable Dr. Phibes, Vincent Price would once again reprise his role as a vengeful soul seeking retribution against those who did him dirty. This is Theatre of Blood, which could very well be the last horror movie Price was truly known for. But just before we get going, if there's a cult horror movie you would like me to review, leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, let me know your thoughts and feelings on Theatre of Blood. As I was saying, Price plays a character named Edward Lionheart, a Shakespearean stage actor who attempts to commit suicide after not winning an award which he was persuaded belonged to him. But after being saved by a group of homeless people, Edward goes on a crusade and seeks revenge on the critics who disapproved of his works, brutally murdering them one by one in manners inspired by the deaths of characters in Shakespeare's plays. First thing I'll say, even though this goes without saying, is that Price does a great job as always. This is no big revelation, he is the main highlight of this film. Even though the guy's a maniac, you just can't help sometimes but feel sorry for him. He's just an aspiring actor who's passionate about his art and just wanted to make the best out of it. Most of the time, you don't see Vincent Price for who he really is. He tends to be disguised as a character from one of the plays. Theatre of Blood was a good movie for the most part. I think it was pretty decent. For a British horror comedy released in the early 70s, there's a surprising amount of gore. I'm surprised they were allowed to show so much, using up to 6 gallons of fake blood. Some people would say this is either an homage or a pastiche of the abominable Dr. Phibes, which I mentioned earlier. While I didn't think of it that way, it dawned on me that there are many similarities between the two pictures. They were both shot in rather glossy Technicolor and in England. They both feature a main character played by Price who was thought to be dead but comes back to the world seeking revenge. Both walk a fine line between humor and horror. The murders they commit are both inspired by certain bodies of literature. Both movies share a few similarities, even too many I find, especially since they were only released 2 years apart. Here, Edward Lionheart pays careful attention to what each critic has to say about his performance in a certain play, whether it be Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, or The Merchant of Venice. It's a neat concept. He even keeps a book full of newspaper clippings with their review of his works. The only major criticism I have for Theatre of Blood is that the second half goes on autopilot for a while. There are many critics, so their killings one by one felt repetitive after a while, in my opinion. For its time, this was a longer film, clocking in at almost 1 hour and 45 minutes. I think they could have trimmed it down, because the continuity does start to lose steam after a while. That being said, the movie has considerable qualities which help to not make it daft and long to watch. Overall, Theatre of Blood is a satisfying genre crossover, which while never taking itself too seriously, does deliver some ghastly moments. And of course, I'll say it again, it's always nice to see Vincent Price doing Vincent Price. So if you're curious enough, go check it out.